is gonna win. 'Cause every day I'm gonna follow him. I'm gonna shine for all the world to see. Oh, 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 I'm gonna shine a light. Oh, 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 I'm gonna shine a light. Oh, 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 for all the world to see. I'll show 'em love, joy, peace and patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Come on! Love, I put others first. Joy, I believe God's promises. Peace, I know I'm God's child. Patience, I can wait. Kindness and goodness, I care about others. Faithfulness, you can count on me. Gentleness, I am ready to listen. And self-control, I won't let sin win. I'm gonna shine a light. Oh, 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 I'm gonna shine a light. Oh, 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 for all the world to see. I'll show 'em love, joy, peace and patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I'll show 'em love, joy, peace and patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. We've got a brand new anthem, got a brand new sound. So get everybody talking, yeah. We won't stop, we won't wait. We'll stand and sing our Savior's name, our Savior's name. Sing it out, sing it out, sing it out. Jesus is alive right now. Whoa, sing it out, sing it out, sing it out. Jesus is alive right now. Whoa, whoa. Death couldn't beat him, nothing could hold him down. Our God conquered the grave, so come on now, make it loud. Everybody shout it out, Jesus is alive right now. Sing it out, sing it out, sing it out. Jesus is alive right now. Whoa, sing it out, sing it out, sing it out. Jesus is alive right now. We won't stop, we won't wait. We'll stand and sing the
Stories of the Bible. Daniel in the Lion's Den. This is Daniel.
Oh, hey!
Who was a Jewish man who was taken to Babylon when he was very young.
Yeah.
Daniel loved God and followed God's rules. He talked to God 3 times a day and asked God for help often. Daniel served in the Babylonian king's court for many years.
Yeah, I know him.
And under many kings.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel always proved himself to be more capable than all the other court officials.
Thanks. Well, anytime.
Daniel was serving under King Darius, and because of his great abilities, the king made plans to place him in charge of the entire empire.
Wow, okay.
The other court officials searched for some fault in Daniel, but they couldn't find anything wrong with him. He was faithful, responsible, and completely trustworthy.
Wait.
The court officials realized the only way to get at Daniel would be to challenge his faith.
Come on!
So they went to King Darius
Excuse me, Your Majesty.
and advised him to make a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone except King Darius will be thrown into the lion's den.
I like it.
King Darius signed this law, and once a Babylonian king signed a law, it could not be overruled. When Daniel learned of this law, he went home and knelt down, as he always did, to pray in his room with the windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had done, giving thanks to God and asking for his help. The officials went to Daniel's house and found him praying.
Gotcha!
They went to the king and reminded him of the law.
I remember.
Well...
Then they said that Daniel had been found praying to God 3 times a day.
What?
When the king heard this, he was very upset,
Get over here.
and he spent the whole day trying to think of a way to save Daniel.
Wait, what?
By that evening, the court officials came back to the king and reminded him that no law signed by the Babylonian king could be overruled. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. The king said to him, "May your God, who you serve faithfully, rescue you." Then the lion's den was sealed shut with Daniel inside. The king spent the night fasting and couldn't sleep. Then very early in the morning, the king hurried to the lion's den. He called out,
Hey, Daniel.
"Was your God able to rescue you from the lions?" And Daniel answered, "Long live the king! My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight." The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be taken out of the lion's den. Then the king ordered the men who had schemed against Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den as punishment. Daniel was safe. There was not a scratch on him, for he trusted in God.
Hey, KOTM, Sunday morning. Man, I love Sunday mornings. One of my favorite days. I don't know, it's just really peaceful when you get up on Sunday for some reason. You know, maybe it's the fact that we know that we're going to come and honor God and worship Him. We set a day aside for that, but it always seems that way. You know, like the Commodore said, and I know I'm showing my age, easy like Sunday morning. It just seems like that. Even though here at the church we have a lot of things going on constantly, you know, preparing for you guys and getting everything ready and out so you can enjoy service there at your home. And so hope you had a great week. Hope you're ready. You know, I've seen some pictures here recently of some of you guys in your pajamas eating pancakes, watching church service. So that's kind of cool. I'm just glad you're with us. I'm glad you're joining us, and I hope you're ready to learn something today. As you remember, on Wednesday, we talked about being trustworthy. Jesus is trustworthy. We talked about trust, to trust God. We need to trust God with everything. And our power verse last week was that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so if he was trustworthy then, that we can trust him now with what's going on in our life, and we can definitely trust him in our future as well. Today's power verse is out of Psalms 46:10, and it says this. The first part of it is what I really want you to catch, but it'll go on into the story that I'm sharing with you. It says, "Be still and know that I am God." So let's say that together. Psalms 46:10. Say, "Be still." Come on, you can do it. "Be still and know that I am God." Then it goes on to say this. It says, "I will be honored by every nation. I will be honored throughout the world." Every nation and throughout the world. So basically what God's saying to us is, hey, I got this. I got this. No matter what's going on in our lives, he's saying, I got it, right? We just watched a video a minute ago about a man named Daniel, right? And it's a story that I think most people recognize even if they don't go to church. It's one of those stories. It's interesting too. Even people that don't go to church, somehow they hear these stories growing up, right? David and Goliath, Daniel in the lion's den, just a multitude of stories they hear like that, which is, it's really interesting because God's word's going forth even to the people that aren't attending church. But let's talk about Daniel. See, some of the things we didn't see or hear in this video is that Daniel was actually, they were in slavery, right? God's people were all slaves to this country. And so he just happened to be a trustworthy. It says this in the Bible that he was trustworthy, and he was very capable at everything that he did, and he did everything with a high standard of excellence. And we know that he loved God because he spent 3 times a day speaking with God and just being grateful and thankful to him. And so I know that God is the one who promoted him in those areas because he was faithful to do the things that God had created him and instructed him to do. And that was to help to administrate. And so anyway, when he would pray, when Daniel would pray, I found this interesting, that said that he prayed at the window. That he prayed at his open window. Why do you think that's important? Maybe he got hot and he liked to feel the cool breeze. There could be some truth to that. Here's what I think. What I think is because I know that when Daniel prayed, he prayed with his heart. He prayed out of his mouth, but man, it was all coming from his heart about how grateful that he was to God for everything that God had done in his life. And basically, as he's praying, no matter what's going on around him, again, the environment that he's been placed in hasn't been a good environment because they're in slavery. But he's still grateful to God. And as he's praying these things, people that are around the area where he lives, they can hear him out the window. I know it. I know as he's speaking and praying, people are like, man, what's he saying? And man, they lean in a little closer to find out what's going on. And it was a way for him to share his God experience with other people without actually going and speaking to them about God. And so I think that was part of it. Also just makes me think too about Daniel and in our power verse. And man, God's just saying, take it easy. And so I see Daniel as that person. He's not being moved by anything. He's speaking to God on a continual and regular basis. He has a schedule, and he's doing those things. Now, it goes on to say that Daniel becomes the best person, the best candidate to take this new job that King Darius is going to have. And that's somebody to administrate his whole country, all the people, all the things. Kind of sounds like Joseph a little bit, doesn't it? That's what I thought about too when I thought about that. It reminded me of Joseph. And so when the other people heard this, the other leaders, the other administrators that were jealous of Daniel heard about this. They're like, they come up with a plan. They're like, hey, we can't let him do this. There's no way we can let him get that position. He doesn't deserve it. He's not one of us, blah, blah, blah. And so they came up with the plan. And here was the plan. The plan was they went to King Darius and they said, hey, King, you're the man. You know, I could just hear him pumping him up and say, hey, you know what? For the next 30 days, King, you ought to make a decree that nobody prays to any other person, any other deity, any other god, but you. And the king was like, yeah, I think that's right, man. I think they should honor me, you know. They should do that. And so he signed the decree, made it, it's official, it's a law. In fact, it's so much of a law that the king can't even go back on it once he signs it. So this goes out, and these guys know that Daniel is never going to go along with this, that he prays to his God, our God, 3 times daily. And you know he's not going to go along with it. And so the decree goes out, everything starts taking place. Well, now these guys come back to the king and they're like, hey, king, you know, you signed this decree, nobody was to pray to anybody else, but your servant Daniel, guess what he's doing? He's praying to his God. And he's like, oh man, the king's like, oh my goodness, because King Darius really, really esteemed Daniel for what he did for him, and the things that he had done for the kingdom. And he's like, uh-oh, man, he realizes that according to the law, he can't go back on it, and he's gonna have to throw Daniel into the lions. So he gets with other people to try to figure out if there's a way to do it, and there's just not, which made Darius very, very, oh man, he felt so bad because Daniel was like his right-hand man, right? He trusted him, he leaned on him, he was the one he could count on for anything. But there were some things that King Darius had said that I thought were very, very interesting. And so as they go to take him to where the lions are, he's speaking to Daniel. Daniel's arrested. They take him down there. They remove this stone, and I don't know how many lions are in there. Hungry lions. They didn't feed the lions other than throwing people in there. And so they removed the stone, and then the king gave the orders. Daniel was arrested. He was thrown into the den, and then the king said this to him: may your God, whom you serve to you so faithfully, rescue you. May the God that you serve so faithfully rescue you. So it was like he spoke a blessing over Daniel. Right? I just thought it was just like, man, he knew he couldn't do anything. He understood he was the king and he had the ultimate power, but his power stopped there. And the only one that could rescue Daniel right now was God. Now check this out. Then it said the king went to his palace and he spent the whole night doing what? It said he was fasting. Right? We know that, you know, every beginning of the year, what do? Guys, we what? We fast and we pray. We seek God for things. We intercede for things. And so I know that King Darius, in his own way, I know he spoke that over Daniel. I believe he was saying things to God. because Darius really, I think he loved Daniel. And so the morning comes, and you just think about the king. The king has been up all night. He's been fasting. He's been speaking out. I don't know what all he's been saying. He's been speaking out. Daylight comes, and he rushes over to where the den is. He gets there, and he yells into Daniel. He says, Daniel, are you there? Are you there? Hoping to hear his voice. And Daniel answered. Here's how he answered. Long live the king. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me. For I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty. So not only was Daniel trustworthy to God, he was also trustworthy to the king. I could just see Daniel at peace with this whole thing. Just like our power verse said, being at peace. Now check this out. The king knew that those guys had tried, that they'd pulled a fast one on him, but he didn't let that go. What he ended up doing was taking all those guys who set Daniel up, tosses them in with the lions. And not only them, but guys, the king tossed their wives and all their children. They wiped out that whole line of the family because they were such people that weren't of any kind of integrity at all. And they put their own thoughts and wishes and feelings above even the king's himself. And so he took them out. Listen to this. Here's what the king says, though. King Darius sent this message to the people of every race and nation and language throughout the world. Did you catch that? So everybody, right? He said, peace and prosperity to you. I decree that everyone throughout the kingdom should tremble with fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he will endure forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed, and his rule will never end. He rescues and saves his people. He performs miraculous signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus in Persia. And so why did I read that part? Because of this. Let's go back to our power verse real quick, guys. It says this. It says, be still and know that I'm God. Remember? That's the part I want you really to get a hold of. Be still. I could see Daniel being still as he's praying, knowing what's about to take place. I could see him being still in the den with all the lions. Be still and know that I am God. Listen to this. This is why I read that part. It says, I will be honored by every nation, and I will be honored throughout the world. What did Darius do when all that happened? He honored God. All to every nation. It said that. Every nation throughout the world. And so here's what I know, guys. When we do the right thing, when we trust God with our whole heart, when we're at peace with what's going on around us and just trust God and do what he's wanting us to do, that there are going to be people that are going to see what you are doing. And because they see that and they see how good and trustworthy God is in your life, it's going to go out to many nations all around the world. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but our services, whether it's in the adult service, whether it's here, whether it's at 180 or even Miss Lisa's group with the 4-year-olds, we're on the internet now. And so this message that of us loving and trusting God as the body of Christ, his children, is going out to every nation all around the world. There are people all around the world that have seen our services. And what are we telling them? That we love Jesus, that we trust God, even at this time when there's a lot of things going on and we don't always know what's going to happen next. We do know that God said he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. and that we could be at peace with everything that's going to happen. And when we do these things, it's going to speak to people in other nations all around the world. Well, guys and gals, that's all I have for you today. So glad you're here with me. Please share any comments, pictures, anything you got going on. I'd like to hear from you. Share those things with us right here on our Facebook page. Right here, Mom and Dad, just put a comment here. Some of you guys have been doing it during the services, and I've been communicating back and forth with people during the services, which is really amazing. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. We so hope that we're able to be with you guys here, right here at KOTM, as soon as possible. We're making plans, so as soon as we can do it and we're ready to go, then we'll be all together again. I love you guys, and I miss you. So until this next Wednesday, have a great first part of your week, and God bless you. Okay, guys, we always want to take an opportunity to pray with people. And just because I know this message impacted you in whatever way it did today, we know that Jesus needs to be Lord of your life, to help you through any situations that you're going through, to lead you and guide you and give you the direction that you need in your lives as you grow and as you grow in Him. And so I want to pray with you, and I just want you to repeat this prayer right where you're at, okay? And I want you to say it out loud, because the Bible tells us this. It tells us in the book of Romans in chapter 9 and 10, it says that if we believe in our heart and confess with our mouth, so it's believing and it's speaking. It's believing and it's speaking. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to believe and I want you to speak. So let's bow our heads right where you're at and just speak this out loud with me. Say this, say, Father, I believe that Jesus is your Son, that He died for my sins, that you raised Him from the dead. I believe, Father, that He's in heaven with you now. And Jesus, I thank you for the price that you paid for me. Thank you so much, Jesus. Right now, I invite you into my life to be my Lord, to be my Savior, to lead me and guide me through every situation that my life encounters. I thank you that you'll never leave me alone, Jesus. And I love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So if you prayed that message and you meant it in your heart and you spoke it with your mouth, what I want you to do right where you're at is I just want you to raise your hand. It's not to acknowledge anything to me, because obviously I can't see you, but you're acknowledging what you just said to God. You're acknowledging what you just asked Jesus to do. You're acknowledging that by raising your hand. And so, man, I hope this message ministered to you. It helped you. It encouraged you, because that's what we want to do with it. And so I want to thank you for joining us today. Hey, listen, if you prayed to receive Jesus, please do me a favor and comment on this section and let us know that you prayed with us. Also, if you would, hey, if you have any comments about the message, or hey, have any questions, or something you were thinking about because of the message, please comment on this and give us some feedback, because we'd like to know. That way we can follow up with some things if need be. It's always good being with you. We love you, and we hope to see you soon. God bless you.